anyways, I talked about working out physically. Now I'm going to talk about something financially, about finances and assets in particular, why they're important, why real estate is the only asset you should be focused on in the long term. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on building wealth, but there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to this particular thing, just passive income, everything when it comes to money. And for me personally, you need to have assets. What do I mean by assets? I mean, like, for instance, if you own a car, that's an asset. If you own, even if you rent an apartment, technically that also can be used as an asset. Personally, but what is your biggest asset? The asset, actually, your bank account is your biggest asset, right? So, like, if you have $10 in your bank account, guess what? You don't have very much of an asset. So how are you going to make your bank account an asset? Like, think about that. Now, a lot of these freaking financial gurus, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And let's, first of all, I'm going to bring up Tony Robbins, these clowns, a bunch of clown guru guys who come out there and they'll just make it sound so simple, man. And I understand. I used to fall for this. I used to really, really believe in all these guru guys. I've almost fallen for multiple scams. In fact, I have been scammed a lot. I got scammed by the most recent one actually was an insurance scam where I got actually scammed out of $4,000. Thankfully, I'm actually going to be getting that money out. Another scam is that I made another video about J.K. Mezzi, about my PMO addiction and how I was kind of like the advertisements basically convinced me that this program was essential, and I was almost tricked into spending $4,000 on something that I could have done for free, which I've done for free. And one of his biggest lies, obviously, is that you can't do it yourself. Anyway, but that's for another video. I'll go into that in another video about quitting PMO, and that's kind of one of the channel. The channel is focused on self-improvement, but a lot of it is about quitting PMO, because I feel like you have to start there. Like, if you have a PMO addiction, you must get rid of that. Like, you must just get rid of it. Like, stop that habit. It's disgusting. It's going to ruin your life. And even if it isn't right now, it's going to ruin your life in the future. Like, it'll ruin your relationship. It will, it'll put you in that black pill space forever. Like, so that's why, number one. But here we're going to go back to finances. So I own a piece of real estate. I own a property in another state. I'm not going to say where, because I don't want people knowing my address, and obviously, but it's an asset. I can rent it out. It's an investment. Like, the thing about stocks is, the reason I don't like stocks, it's not that, like, you can't make money. Like, you can invest in, but I don't know if you should invest everything into a stock, because they're not. I guess it's like I said, I need to do more research. I wouldn't say that stocks are my biggest expertise, but I do know real estate from getting my first condo and getting kind of understanding, why is it such an important asset? Well, because real estate, everything is about the location, and demand never goes down for real estate. Demand is always there. It is a basic human need to have a property. And, like, for instance, if you own a place, you can rent it out. There's just so many flexibilities in owning that asset, and then in the future you could sell it. A lot of people don't understand, like, they think that they can't afford a house because they think that it's just too expensive, which is a stupid way of thinking. It's a really misinformational. It means you really don't understand how real estate is when you say that, because if you're putting your money down into renting a place, like in a rental, like if you're renting a place, you're actually throwing money away. You really are. I'm sorry, people don't like to hear this stuff. People love to villainize the landlords, and the reason that landlords are so difficult is because, frankly, let's be honest, like, a lot of the time when people are renting, no offense to people who are renting, I'm not going to generalize, but damage tends to happen. They just don't tend to respect the place because it's not theirs. Why would you respect something if it's not yours? So the person who's actually renting to you is actually making it. The landowner is actually doing something really nice for you. I mean, if you're able to afford it. I mean, obviously rent going up and going down. Obviously there's money motivated behind it. It is an investment. I think there's like an attitude, like it's a very Marxist attitude, if you ask me, to villainize totally blame the landlord for wanting to make money on something that he owns. It's kind of insane way of thinking, but that's the world we live in today, like this woke world. So how dare you want to make money on your investment? It doesn't make any sense. But there we go. This is the millennial way of thinking. Like when they rent an apartment, they get very like, oh man, they think they can just trash the place sometimes. Like some renters, not talking about all, but like long-term renters. Like my mother, she owns a little property over here in the city. Like she owns like about 3 properties, and I own 1. But she doesn't rent any of them out because renters can just be horrible. Like she had a guy rent, for just a month, and he trashed the place. He just left it, like mud everywhere, didn't have much respect, didn't communicate very much. Just some people don't have respect for places when they rent. They just don't. And they're not, and I'm not saying they're required to, but like if you're gonna rent your place out to someone, it's a bigger deal than you would think. When you're leasing it out, people just think when they rent, they tend to just think, like they do own the place temporarily, but they tend to just not respect it the way an owner respects it. When you own something, now not everyone does respect things that they own, but like because I own my condo, I take more care. Like I keep it clean. Anything that I own, I keep clean. Like anything that I own, I really respect it because it has to do with how you respect yourself. In my opinion, if you don't keep your room clean, I mean, what does that say about how you respect yourself? Like if you're messy, it's not that like being clean is just a stuck-up thing. It's like being a neat freak. It's like I respect myself more when my room is in order, because it shows that my mind is in order, if that makes sense. I mean, yesterday I cleaned like my car, I cleaned my RV, and I also remodeled part of my RV because I respect the things that I own. Now, people who rent, they tend to not care because they are renting. They don't care. They don't own it. So that's one of the problems with the investment that you're going to have to deal with, is dealing with renters. If you decide to buy a real piece of real estate. Now, there's the whole thing with the loans and getting approved, and that's just a whole nother battle. Getting approved is a lot harder than you would think for a loan. And you really have to kind of like prove that you want to live there. You can't just say that you want to rent it out. That's one thing I learned the hard way. You can't say that it's an investment. You got to actually say that you're living in it, and then you also got to like make sure that you're going to pay the payments, because they will get you, man. It is not like an arrangement where it's a little bit less. They're not going to be as patient with you. Like the reason owners are so pushy about rent is because they have a mortgage to pay. And yeah, they have a job where they can pay the mortgage, but depending on where they are, like if they live in, like for instance, a lot of these complaints, a lot of the worst places where I hear a lot of this bad stuff about renters is usually places in like New York where the rent is much higher. But that means if the rent is higher, it's probably because the mortgage is higher. Person just wants to cover their mortgage, usually just wants to pay their mortgage with rental income. It's a good investment. It's a very solid investment. The demand never goes down, but there's substantial risk only when it comes to dealing with renters. Now, if you have a renter that's respectful, and like usually older people are going to be more respectful. No offense, people my age, but people my age just are slobs. Gonna be honest. Like a lot of people my age don't respect things, and they don't care. They don't really understand the concept of respecting a space. They're usually messy, and usually like damage happens. Like a lot of the reason, like bad renters, there's a lot of bad renters, and but that being said, there's always demand. You can Airbnb. You can also, if you don't, like, that's why I would advise more people to do Airbnb, because you're gonna make more money in the long run, especially if you're in a place where it's like demand, like, and you don't have to worry about any of that stuff that goes on with renters. And that's kind of why I Airbnb my place, because renters, bad renters, the idea of a bad renter really scares me. It's really terrifying. It can be nightmarish, but the demand never goes down. It's a solid investment because you're always going to be able to get a return on it. Like real estate, you're always going to be able to return on it, whether the interest rates are down or up or whatever. It's like it's not risky. That's what I'm saying. And like stocks are more risky. Sales are more risky. Like most investments are very risky, but the only truly passive income investment is real estate. That's just flat out the truth, man. And like, I know there's a lot of people who just want to, like, there's all these like online businesses and whatever. Most of them are scams. Like there's very few times online where you're going to be able to stand out. For instance, like creating a YouTube channel. Like most of the time, 99% of people, like including myself, are going to fail. Like I've already failed at this several times. I have actually multiple YouTube channels. This is one of like 3 YouTube channels I've created. And this one is, I'm trying to get more focused on, this is more of a self-improvement channel, but the other channels have been self-improvement plus just entertainment. I've just really kind of been dabbling in different types of content, but the reason I'm making self-improvement content is because I actually enjoy watching this type of content, and I relate to it the most, and I understand it the most. I don't like all the people in the space. I think the manosphere is some of it's just really stupid. Not gonna lie, it's kind of like the fitness industry, because a lot of it has to do with fitness. I mean, when it comes down to self-improvement, it has to do with fitness. But yeah, real estate is just the most important asset. That's all I'm saying. Like the point of this video is get some real estate. Save your money. Basically, I'm going to sum it up. You want to save some money. Just save some money. Use your job to save money. Like your job, all these people who you're going to be on 99% ahead of people financially, guys. I'm talking about men, because women, depending on like how their looks are. I mean, let's be brutal. Like, let's be honest. Like, women who are better looking are going to be able to make money in different ways, in more flexible ways than men. So that's the truth. And like a woman can, like some women, they can just post on OnlyFans and they're going to make $1 million overnight. But that doesn't mean that they're financially smart, because there's a lot of dumb people, like when it comes to finance. Like there's so many people that just make me cringe, man, whenever I hear them talk about their spending habits. It's like, dude, like they spend all their money on useless stuff usually stuff that is way overpriced, that they don't really need, so they can get an instant, like I said, instant gratification is the enemy to financial growth too. It you know what I mean? If like, because you're buying that, and I'm not perfect. Like I've definitely done stupid purchases where I was like, is this a good idea? I really want this, but it's probably not a good idea. I've done it. We all do it, but some people do it more than others. And a lot of people my age tend to spend frivolously. They like, I remember I had a friend who spent $1,000 on like a shirt, like a white shirt. Like, I don't know where, it was some fancy brand. Why? Why would you buy a shirt for $1,000? Like, I don't remember, but I think it might have been $800, but still, it was like something really stupid. It was like something that you could buy for like $5 somewhere else. Literally, you go to a thrift store and buy the same exact shirt, and maybe it's not as new, it doesn't look like all brand new or whatever, but $800 for a t-shirt is just stupid. And then he had this mentality. A lot of people have this mentality, oh, if I can't spend my money and drink, and a lot of them, a lot of people drink. A lot of people don't save their money. Save your money! Save your fucking money, dude. Guys, like, it pays off. It literally pays off, because like I have an investment half the time, because I have an asset. I can be partially retired whenever I want. I can just be like, well, I'm going to rent my place out. Because that's my only bill. I have like a lot of money still saved up. So, getting that, building your investment portfolio with, I think the first major one is the real estate. The real estate is the most important thing. I don't care what people say. Like, stocks and crypto. It's like, crypto? people who talk about crypto, man, this is especially me. So I'm going to end the video. I got to go in a second. But just my point is crypto is just crypto. No, you're not going to make, it's not an investment that's constantly like where you know what I mean? If it's not something that you need, like food, or if it's not an essential item, it's worthless. So not potentially, we'll go into that more in another video, but I got to end this video now. Bye.